The techniques of Yoruba sculptors reveal much about their style and aesthetics. During my own apprenticeships with Yoruba sculptors, I realized that the actions of artists teach us as much as their words. Here, we're going to witness the master sculptor Ebo Segbe of Pobe in the Republic of Benin, while he was working on a Shango dance wand, or Oshe Shango, in the summer of 1973. You're seeing some views of the exterior of his house and compound and some of the family members, and also some of the wooden handles for his carving tools. He's seated under a shaded area in the open courtyard of his compound, and he's just beginning to do some work in blocking out this Shango dance wand, or Oshe Shango. And as he works, I'm going to be commenting on aspects of his life and work, and also discuss concept of his style and aesthetics inherent in and revealed by the creative process. Ebo Segbe is beginning that very first stage and using one of the primary tools of Yoruba carvers, or in adze, known as awon or osese. And osese is a wide-bladed adze. Later on, he's going to shift to an adze with a much thinner blade that's known as an iso. And he'll be using mainly adze through the main stages in the carving process, although at the very end, he's also going to use a knife, or obe onna, or obe afingi, but that'll come later on. He's in the very first stage of the carving process now, the stage known as onalile, or sisa. Onalile is the first blocking out stage, where he's defining the major volumes in the sculpture, what will be a double blade at the top, a figure in the middle, and a handle at the bottom. He's got it turned upside down so the handle is actually at the top, and that's what he's stroking into and cutting into now. During this first, or onalile stage, he's moving quickly to define the major proportions. And as he works, he will change his perspective in relation to the work to maintain a sense of symmetry and of balance. He'll work left side against right side. He'll work the front, and then he'll work on the back, keeping in mind the ideas of balance and symmetry and straightness in the forms. Ebo Segbe learned carving from his father. He said to me, quote, "My father was a carver, but he was also a farmer. After finishing the farming work, he would return home to carve. I used to watch him as he carved. And when we came home from the farm, I began to learn. Now that I'm old myself, I can no longer work in the fields, and so I prefer to carve. I inherited this profession from my father." And that's very typical of Yoruba sculptors. They usually inherit the profession from fathers and grandfathers, but young Yoruba boys who exhibit an interest and a talent for carving will also be able to apprentice themselves, and then their parents will pay a kind of apprenticeship fee. As he works in this first stage, you'll notice how he positions and repositions the work. He uses his legs, his knees, sometimes his feet to grip the work and to hold it in position. He anchors it with his left hand and does all of the carving with his right. As you look at Ebo Segbe working, one of the things that was really remarkable was his ability to concentrate, to focus on the work. And in our conversations, he would often tell me about the attributes that artists possessed. And those gifts or attributes included the ability to think visually and also to have a good sense of visual memory, or iranti. He also said that carvers and artists generally needed to be observant people, or as the Yoruba would call them, alabojuto. These were people who watched and remembered the things that they saw during their life experiences. But even more than that, they had to have this sense of an ability to concentrate, or ifokan. And that's an important one for carvers. He's working in a compound. You don't see a lot of the other activity going on around in this open space, but in fact there are kids coming and going, women, visitors coming in and out of the compound. There are lots of other activities going on as well. And he has to be able to really concentrate on the work in the midst of all of these potential distractions. Ebo Segbe also told me that carvers needed to be cool, calm, and collected individuals, that they had to have the qualities of composure and especially of patience, or ifarabale, and suru, as the Yoruba would explain it. He's now defining the back of the head of the figure. Other things are going on around him in the compound. Here, one of the women in the household is grinding food, and here another is spreading out palm nuts on the ground in the sun so that they can dry. And then you're going to see her kind of mixing the palm fibers in the pot. It's being heated to produce the palm oil that is the typical cooking oil used in Yoruba land. Now we're later in the day, and as you'll notice, the pace, the tempo of the carving has changed. It's much hotter. He's taken off his shirt. He's still in the shaded area, but the day has heated up and his work has heated him as well. And he's now using a different adze. Now he's using an iso, one of those narrow bladed adzes, because he's doing more precise and detailed work within the main volumes. He's now in the second stage of the carving process, known as aletunle. And in aletunle, you define the subunits within the major units or volumes within the sculpture. And here he's working on the base of the pedestal under the kneeling figure. Here he's using an even more narrow bladed adze with a small handle. Notice his stroke. At the end of the stroke, he kind of gives a quick twist to his wrist, which helps to release the blade from the wood. The kind of pace and rhythm that he develops in the carving is one of the things that contributes to the balance and to the rhythm within the final work itself. Action defines the aesthetic. Here he's marking out two parallel curvilinear lines that are defining an arc over the figure in the dance wand. Here you'll see him using his legs and his knees as a kind of vice to hold the work in place as he define certain parts of it. You're seeing it from the side, so you're seeing the profile of the head and the breasts of the kneeling female figure. And he's got the handle grip between his legs. Now he's moved into the third stage of the carving, which is known as didan, and the fourth, fifin. Didan is the smoothing and the rounding of the surfaces, and he's using one of the obe, afingi, one of the knives. He uses this to refine the surface and also to incise the delicate patterns that will decorate the surface of the work. Yorubas appreciate that kind of finished quality in the sculptures. And he's just beginning to work at that stage now of Didan and also of Fifi. He's working on the forehead of the face of the figure, and he'll be defining the jawline, separating the forehead from the line that will indicate the start of the coiffure or hairstyle. Now he's right at the top of the nose bridge. Now he's at the side of the head. Notice how he uses his left hand and fingers to support and to guide the blade of the knife. Ona for the Yoruba is a complex concept that includes such ideas as skillful manipulation and transformation of medium, embellishment of form. But more than that, Ona is meant to be evocative form. It's supposed to enlighten and enliven its audiences, to educate them, to bring them insight. And so Yoruba artists are expected to bring the ideas of innovation and inventiveness, or ara, a kind of playfulness and improvisation in their form, or ire, appropriateness of image and completeness of form, or pipe. Here he's gone back to use the ads to realign the length of the knees, and with that he completes the second of two of these Shango dance wands, which he was commissioned to do by the Shango Society. It took him about 2 weeks to complete the work, and if we can judge from the expression that we're about to see on his face, he seems pleased with his work. Esheun Ebe. Thanks very much, Ebu Segbe.